April 24, 1834, the day a modest linen shop on Fifth Avenue opened its doors under the sign Lord and Taylor, marking the birth of America's first department store and the beginning of a retail empire that would dominate Manhattan's shopping scene for nearly 2 centuries. In the dim glow of gas lamps, the founders, Samuel Lord and his partner, George Washington Taylor, imagined a place where a single customer could wander through rows of silk, haberdashery, and fine furniture, all under one roof, a novel concept that would soon redefine how Americans bought and dreamed. The rise of Lord and Taylor was swift and spectacular. By the 1860, the store had moved to a grand cast-iron building at Fifth Avenue and 20th Street, its marble facade promising luxury to a burgeoning middle class. The Civil War era saw the store expand its offerings, introducing ready-made dresses that freed women from the tyranny of home-sewn garments. In 1914, a new flagship rose at Fifth Avenue and 39th Street, a 9-story Beaux Arts palace that became a social landmark, its tea rooms and elaborate window displays drawing crowds like a Broadway show. For decades, the store's annual holiday spectacle, complete with a towering Christmas tree and animated mannequins, became a rite of passage for New Yorkers. Yet, even as the brand glittered, warning signs began to flicker beneath the polished surface. The 1970s brought the first wave of suburban competition. Shoppers drifted to malls where parking was free and the climate controlled. Lord and Taylor responded by opening its first suburban location in White Plains, New York, in 1975, but the move also diluted the mystique of the downtown flagship. The 1990s ushered in the digital age, and while competitors like Bloomingdale's and Nordstrom invested heavily in e-commerce platforms, Lord and Taylor's online presence lagged, a hesitant step into a world that demanded instant, borderless access. Financial strain intensified in the early 2000s. In 2006, the venerable family-owned business was sold to the Australian conglomerate Myer for $1.6 billion, a deal that promised fresh capital but also ushered in an era of aggressive cost-cutting. The new owners trimmed staff, shuttered underperforming stores, and leaned heavily on discount-driven promotions that eroded the brand's upscale image. By 2015, the iconic Fifth Avenue flagship, once a symbol of opulence, was sold to a real estate developer for $1 billion, its retail space converted into luxury apartments, a stark visual metaphor of a retail titan being repurposed for the next generation of wealth. The final warning lights flashed bright in 2019. The parent company, Le Tote, a subscription-based clothing rental service that had acquired Lord and Taylor in 2019, was already struggling under mounting debt and a fragmented business model. The COVID-19 pandemic arrived like a perfect storm in March 2020. Mandatory lockdowns forced all physical stores to close overnight, and while many retailers scrambled to shift sales online, Lord and Taylor's underdeveloped e-commerce infrastructure left it scrambling for digital relevance. With rent obligations on prime Manhattan real estate and a supply chain disrupted by global shutdowns, cash flow evaporated faster than the winter snow on Fifth Avenue. On August 2, 2020, the inevitable became official. Lord and Taylor announced it would cease all operations, filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and planning to liquidate its remaining 55 stores. The news reverberated across the city. Longtime employees, some with families that had worked there for generations, faced abrupt unemployment. The once gleaming windows of the flagship were draped in for lease signs, and the iconic L&T logo, which had adorned storefronts since 1826, was lowered for the final time. In a swift post-bankruptcy transaction, the brand's name and intellectual property were purchased by the private equity firm Sycamore Partners, who announced plans to relaunch Lord and Taylor as a purely digital retailer, resurrecting the historic name in a virtual storefront. The aftermath has been a mixed tableau of nostalgia and reinvention. The physical footprints of Lord & Taylor have been erased or repurposed. The White Plains location now houses a mixed-use complex, while the former flagship building serves as luxury condominiums with a boutique shopfront that rarely echoes its retail past. Former employees have formed support networks, sharing stories of the store's golden eras, from the 1950s fashion shows to the 1990s celebrity appearances, while also lobbying for better severance packages and retraining programs. The brand's digital rebirth, launched in early 2021, leans heavily on curated collections, influencer collaborations, and AI-driven personalization, an attempt to translate a century-old heritage into the language of Gen Z shoppers. Yet, the ghost of the original Lord & Taylor lingers in the collective memory of New York. Historians point to its pioneering role in establishing the department store model, introducing fixed pricing, return policies, and the concept of a one-stop shop. Its early adoption of seasonal marketing, from lavish Christmas windows to spring fashion parades, set standards that still influence modern retail. The collapse serves as a cautionary tale. Even institutions with deep cultural roots cannot ignore evolving consumer habits, technological disruption, or the relentless pressure of real estate costs. As the story of Lord & Taylor fades from the bustling streets of Manhattan to the silent servers of an online catalog, it reminds us that retail is a living organism, constantly adapting or facing extinction. From a single linen shop in 1834 to a digital brand in 2022, the journey encapsulates the rise and fall of an American icon, a narrative of ambition, missteps, and the relentless march of change. Subscribe to The Collapse for more stories like this.